All right, let's go ahead and get into Marxism. If you've heard this word before, then you know that it may be loaded. It might have pejorative connotations. Some people hear this and they immediately start thinking about political debates or socialism or class struggle. These are certainly terms that are associated with this, but we're not advocating for anything. I think that sometimes this does get kind of cast with, well, the more academia you're exposed to, the more likely you're to become Marxist. And I don't think that being aware of the terminology and understanding how it functioned as a critical lens is necessarily a bad thing. You can be 100% in agreement with Mark's idea, or you could be in disagreement with it, still utilizing the language effectively to analyze literature or even argue in an essay is strong. So we get into the reading a little bit here. And, right off the top, we see, who does it benefit, right? That's kind of the central idea with this. Too often, this is very much reduced to rich versus poor. And it's not really about just who has the money. I think it's a lot more about the systems of class that are maintained, how they're justified and reproduced. Um, and it's interesting because you think about like a system, the most effective systems are the ones that don't feel like systems. They're just the ones that kind of slide into the background and say, hey, this is the manners that we're going to utilize. This is the structure that we appreciate. This is how you comport yourself within a society. And so that is how the basic evaluation of a society through a Marxist lens even starts to begin. It does look at working conditions. It does start to think about, like, well, who owns anything? Who works? Who controls? Um, and so the texts aren't neutral. They're shaped by values and interests of people within the society. And that's basically the construct or the starting point of this the presupposition of this discourse community. So when we're thinking about it, again, we're thinking about it in sense of uh, being structural. And again, the structure kind of lying out in the background and just kind of being the assumptions that we have within a society. We think about, like, well, what counts as success? This is going to become more evident when you start to think about it in terms of the importance of being earnest. What do relationships look like? What behavior is acceptable? And when I say what behavior is acceptable, we're really talking about at different points within class structure, right? Different people at different positions have different expectations for how they're going to behave. So, with all systems, the one thing about them is that they continue to reify the system, right? The hegemonic controls, the hegemony is the power, and the power is how it's kind of extended. And this is the same whether you're looking at something through a feminist lens or whether we're looking at it through a Marxist lens. The system itself just has these biases, and we're trying to look at it neutrally. So, again, the system is really contingent upon the continuance of the system. And you'll see this in the importance of being earnest as we start to think about what are the rules of getting married? How is marriage not just about status? Well, I'm sorry, it's not just about love, it's more about status or the continuation of status or the reification of class. And so we're very concerned about social rules. We're concerned about inheritances, or stuff like that. And the one thing that I think Oscar Wilde really enjoys more than anything is kind of poking fun at all of these different aspects of the society as they govern this social class. And you'll see this as he makes fun of, like, speech, manners, education, taste. And it's extremely ironic as he starts to poke at it. So, again, I wanted to go over this because I don't want the OER to overly reduce this to just simply rich people are silly or rich people are evil, right? It really is an evaluation of a piece of literature from a Marxist perspective that really starts to consider, who is benefiting, who is excluded, and who maintains control. When you start to think about this in terms of the importance of being earnest, start from a standpoint of research. Get into Marxist readings of earnest. Try to look at more definitions or just baseline definition structure of Marxism and seeing how it plays. Once you get into the basics, once you get into the application or the academic critiques of Ernest through criticism, you'll be able to see the application a little more clearly, and I think it'll give you plenty to write about. This is rather accessible, so I feel pretty confident with this essay. All right, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.